Hi, this is a short presentation on invisible disabilities and special education. My name is Joan Curtis. I work at Disability Rights, New Mexico in Albuquerque. There's an office in uh, Las Cruces, but right now most of us are working from home because of COVID. So we're doing remote trainings. Usually we're doing trainings around the state of New Mexico, but because of the virus, we're doing these short trainings, and we hope that those can help tide people over until we're uh, able to go back out into the community and actually see you face to face. And believe me, we really miss visiting with the parents, because this is what really gives us our strength to do the work that we do at Disability Rights. We're made up of advocates and attorneys. We have a toll-free number to us. There's a web page, www.drnm.org. These trainings are put on by DRNM, but they're funded in part by the Developmental Disabilities Planning Council, the DDPC. So we thank them for our support to do these trainings. So the training today is on invisible disabilities. Invisible disabilities can be really problematic because the students, when they're at school, the school resource officers or the teachers may mistake behaviors and think that the child is acting out in some sort of malicious way, when in fact the child may have a pattern of behaviors that are actually a disability. In one case, I had a student with traumatic brain injury. We didn't know that's what it was. The mother called and said that her young son was getting in trouble almost daily by touching people inappropriately. And the school would separate the child from the class, and the child would get more anxious and pull out his eyelashes. So we had some testing done, neuropsychological testing done, and it came out even through the history, but through the testing also, it showed that this child had had a serious head injury when he was about a year old. He already had developed some language, but he lost it all when a TV set had crushed his skull. Now he healed from that, and the mom thought that everything was fine, but in fact, there was a part of the brain that hadn't healed in the frontal lobe, and so he wasn't capable of making executive function decisions efficiently. So there was a whole different way of teaching him. Instead of doing sort of a behavior plan with him, it was more a different type of instruction that worked for traumatic brain injury. But whereas before he wasn't even eligible for special education, now through the testing he was eligible. So he was able to get specialized services in the school, and he wasn't punished in ways that were negative for him. He was able to positively learn through behavioral supports ways in order for him to be included in the class, and in less trouble with possibly getting in trouble with the juvenile justice system. And so that was extremely important to this family. What are some kinds of invisible disabilities that may be misunderstood, and it's really important to have them diagnosed in order to have appropriate behavior plans developed in the school? Let me go through a few of them. Post-traumatic stress disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, traumatic brain injury, as we learned from that other situation, attention deficit disorder, bipolar disorder that can manifest as anger with younger children, schizophrenia that can also be misconstrued because the child may be having some psychotic episodes, depression, anxiety that also manifests itself frequently as anger, and personality disorder. So there is a number of these mental health diagnoses that can be really critical to diagnose and to have the school be aware of in order to develop some behavior plans. We'll talk more about functional behavioral assessments and more about behavior intervention plans. But it's important so that you get a knowledge more of whether your child actually has a skill deficit and they don't know the steps in order to behave appropriately, or whether it's a performance disorder that deficit that they just choose not to behave appropriately. So these kinds of evaluations are critical in being aware of what kind of disability the child might have in order for the child to be protected with certain laws, and we'll talk more about those laws. If the school is not following through with the laws, then they risk not receiving their funding. So it's important to start at the right place with a good diagnosis for a child. Thank you for listening. Again, this is Disability Rights New Mexico. Our phone number is 256-3100. And we're in New Mexico. I don't think I even said that at the beginning. So New Mexico laws are going to differ slightly from the laws from other states, although we all have the same federal law. Thanks for listening.